The station where our veterans' voices are heard. MBR Talk.
Hey, thanks for supporting our channel by watching and listening.
Find us on the web at mbradio.us.
Desde Brooklyn hasta el sol del Medio Oriente, José Flores con fuego en la mente. Raised in the Bronx where dreams don't sleep, donde el hambre te enseña a resistir. Section 8 life, no handouts, no cheat. He built his power from the pain on the street.
Cada golpe, cada lágrima caída fue el fuego que encendió su vida. Ahora camina con propósito y voz. José Flores, hear the noise. De la calle al combate, turned his trials into faith. Con disciplina y con fe, now he rises every day. From the block to the world sin temor.
You ever need a haircut?
So
that these kids can learn how to play instruments or want to, not just learn, but want to. But I think that there's a major shift.
Iraq to Korea, he led from the front. Now he lifts others, never just stunts. Hoy es mentor, líder, amigo.
Welcome to the Motivated Mindset. I am your host, Jose Flores, proud Latino, born in New York City, straight out of the Bronx and raised in Brooklyn. That New York City flavor, that hustle, that grit. Mira, it shaped me, built me, and still drives todo lo que yo hago, everything that I do. I am a combat veteran who served 30 years in the United States Army. Hoorah! If you don't know, you better ask somebody up in here. And before we get rolling, I want to send a powerful salute to all my veterans, service members, first responders, and everyone who puts in service before self. Mucho respeto, much respect. You already know. You see what I'm saying? But my journey didn't stop when I hung up that uniform. You know what I'm saying? After I left the Army, I continued serving through the federal government, working with Department of Defense, and later with the U.S. Department of Housing and Urban Development, which I love, mi gente. And along that journey, I had the opportunity to work in Equal Employment Opportunity, EEO, Alternative Dispute Resolution, leadership development, training, mentoring, and organizational support. You know what I'm saying? I've led teams, I've trained people, I've sat across the table from people in conflict and helped them find a common ground. I've coached, mentored, and developed leaders. And probably one of the things that I enjoyed most was helping people recognize something in themselves that they couldn't see yet. And let me tell you something. There is nothing better than watching someone who once doubted themselves suddenly say, quote unquote, wait a minute, maybe I can do this. That right there, mi gente, that right there, that's my kind of motivation. Because throughout my career, whether I was wearing that uniform in the Army, working in the federal government, leading a team, conducting training, mentoring someone, or just sitting down with someone going through a difficult situation, I learned one important lesson, mi gente. Leadership isn't about a title on your business card, como dicen, right? It's about how you show up, how you serve, and how you impact people. Now, in this new chapter of my life, I wear a couple of hats other than this coon right here, right? You like that? I'm a motivational speaker, a certified personal trainer, a certified mediator, and yes, an end-of-life death doula. Now, I know you're probably saying, you're probably thinking something like, Jose, bro, how many jobs do you have? You know what I'm saying to you? Listen here, I'm from New York. We don't know how to sit still, right? But here's the truth behind all those titles, right? I do what I do because I'm called to serve. Because I know what struggle feels like. I know what it means to start over again. I know what it means to face, adversity, get knocked down, and have to find the strength to get back up, mi gente, because I know what it means to fight for a purpose, to help other people find theirs. That's why this podcast exists. The Motivated Mindset is more than just another podcast. This is a place where we talk about resilience. We talk about leadership. We talk about culture. We talk about optimism, discipline, faith, purpose, personal growth, and the courage it takes to keep pushing when life swings duro. That means hard. We're going to talk to people who have been through some things, mi gente. You know, people who have overcome, people who are still trying to figure it out, right? People who are leading, people who are serving, people who are inspiring others. And sometimes we're just going to have a good conversation and laugh. Because let's be real, life is already serious enough, right? We keep it here, we keep it real here at New York City real, if you want to, if you want to say, we do straight talk, Bronx humor, yay, and a little of Spanish. ¿Cómo está ustedes? Come down, right? When necessary, it's sugar coating, right? Zero sugar coating. You're gonna laugh, you're gonna reflect, like, ¿qué es lo que está pasando? You're gonna get fired up. Yay. Mira, you may even shed a tear, not because you're cutting onions. You know what I'm saying? But here's one thing I promise you. You will leave stronger than when you press that play button, clicked it, right? Because I believe every person has a story. Every person has a purpose. Every person has something to give. And sometimes all we need is somebody to remind us, yo, you got more in you. So wherever you are today, whatever you're facing, mi gente, whatever chapter you're in, whatever setback you're in, whatever you're dealing with, don't count yourself out. Your story isn't over. You see what I'm saying? Your best chapter might still be waiting to be written. I need you to stay frosty, stay faithful, and stay motivated because this isn't just motivation. This is transformation, mi gente. And this is the Motivated Mindset with me, your host, Jose Flores. So we're about to kick off, but there's one thing I need to share with you guys. One thing before we get kicked off, right? So if you are vibing with what you see right here, right? The conversations, I'm posting something in the comment box, right? If it inspires you, if you appreciate the interviews, the energy, because I bring it, the message, all I ask is support my YouTube channel. Do that phone thing, get that QR code, and you know what? Share it with someone who could use a little motivation. Because let me tell you something, your support helps keep us to bring you powerful guests, meaningful conversations, and purpose-driven content straight to you. Para ustedes, mi gente. That means my people, right? Because this is the Motivated Mindset, all right? So that's what I ask for you. Now, let's talk about today's guests. Let me take this off. Because today I'm excited to introduce a phenomenal leader, mentor, and a coach, Kelly Foster. Kelly is a retired Department of Defense leader with more than 38, that means 38 years of service, where she drove Army-wide programs and supported senior executive. Today, she continues to lead multiple national organizations while running Motivated by Kelly. Yay, that's what I'm talking about. LLC, helping inspiring leaders prepare for the senior executive service through leadership, training, and coaching. But what really stands out about Kelly is her gift for seeing the potential in people, building their confidence, and helping them exceed their own expectation. That's real. That's fire. That's wicked. Kelly, I want to welcome you to the Motivated Mindset because I'm excited to have you here and talk about leadership, purpose, confidence, and what it takes to become the leader you were meant to be, mi gente. So let's bring her in. Dame un momento. That means give me a minute because we're going to do this right.
The interview of the week is brought to you by Jersey Mike's, a sub above.
Kelly, welcome.
Hello, Jose. It's awesome to be here. Thank you for that incredible introduction.
It's true. It is stupendous. You are the WOMAN. That means woman. I'm spelling it all out for you. It's a pleasure to have you on here, Kelly. We appreciate it so much. And before we get into the titles, the career, let's who is Kelly before all that? We want to know a little bit about you, please.
All right. Well, I'll say, like most people, I wear a lot of hats, but to take you back, I have been raised in the beautiful state of Maryland and lived here my whole life. I have not moved out of it yet. And a unique fact about me is I lived in Prince George's County my whole life until 2022 when I moved to Harford County. Now, as you'll later find out about, being a military spouse, you'll be like, well, wait a minute, how could you be a military spouse and stay in the same place? Well, in my chapter of life, I met my military husband second marriage. So I had already established my career. I had family here. I had roots here. I had friends here. And I'm like, babe, I love you, but we're just going to have to do this last chapter of life, live in the geo bachelor, bachelorette, whatever that phrase is. And so as he finished out his last 5 or 6 assignments, I stayed put because, like I said, I had family here. I had my career here, and just was not conducive for me to move around and uproot everything I had for so long.
Wow, that is some. So when you think about your childhood, was there one lesson your family taught you that you still carry with you today?
Have fun. It would definitely be have fun. Some of my greatest memories are going to the pool, and one of my fondest, I don't know why, but it was my birthday, and all of my presents were like a beach towel, a pool floaty, a raft, and just fun stuff like that to play, pool toys. And I don't know why, it's just been one of my fondest childhood birthday memories. It was just, it was all about fun. So I would say it was just have fun. And
you still do it today as an adult?
Oh, yes, I do. Yes, I do. I was at the pool today, in fact.
Yeah, I think as adults, we forget that sometimes we got to have fun, because in the end, when you're there, when it's time to go, you're not going to say, man, I wished I worked some more,
Exactly.
And just enjoy life, and when you were in your upbringings, and what was your first career job? Was it right out of high school, college? What was it? How did that look like, that road?
I'll say my first job was, as fun as it sounds, it was selling bingo tickets at a establishment. Yes. So that was my first job at 13, and it was so much fun. But in high school, I was fortunate enough to get in this program. It was called Cooperative Office Experience, and you signed up in your junior year to do it during your senior year. And basically, you went to school at 4 hours in the morning, you left at lunchtime, and then you went to a place to work in the afternoon for 4 hours. And some people went in the retail space, other people went in the office space. And I was fortunate enough to get placed at the time it was called Harry Diamond Laboratories in Delphi, Maryland. But since then, it's now the DevCom Army Research Laboratory. And I was 17 years old, just, a little something, still in school. And I would go there, and it was, led by a 2-star commander. So, he's lean and tall, and, I'm looking up, and his green uniform with the stars, and just in awe. But that's where it all started, as a GS1, which some people are like, I didn't even know that existed. And it did. And $4.21 an hour. I'll never forget that. It was my first, wage with the federal government. And after I graduated high school, I was fortunate enough to get selected into what was called the summer program, so that I got my first promotion. I got promoted to a GS2, right? And then after that, after you completed the summer, then it was up to you to look for a permanent position. And I'll never forget, her name was Kelly, but she spelled her name differently. She stopped in the lobby one day and said, "What are you going to do after the summer?" And I was like, "Well, I'm not sure." And she's like, "Apply for one of those jobs in finance and accounting, just to get in." I'm like, "Okay." So I did. So I had started my GS1 job in the department, what's called DPW now, Department of Public Works. I started there. So I learned about how all the things get fixed, and then I went into, it was called civilian personnel at the time, and now it's human resources office, but same thing, as my GS2. Then I went right into finance and accounting as a GS3. And then I want to say I got promoted to a 4, and then I was ready. I'm like, all right, I'm ready to go to the 5. So then I applied for a position. It was called procurement assistant, which is now like the contracts office, acquisition. So got my GS5 over there, got promoted to a 6. And I don't know if you see a trend here, but it's pivoting, right?
Yes.
Reinventing, right? So then I went worked there for a while, and I had the opportunity. I learned all about contract. I learned about everything that, the federal acquisition regulations, the DFARs, the AFARs. So there are other regulations in the contracting space. Learned about the database, and there is a form, a DD350, that I was responsible. It was like the most important piece of information that went into the database, right? And I was responsible for that. So it was super fun. But then I started to learn about computers. So in the same job, I transitioned into kind of like the IT space and was a PC network administrator, because we had PCs at the time, not Macintosh, but we did have a Linux system. So I was learning all about that. So again, more transitions, more skill building, more development. And then came a hiring freeze, because they wanted to take me out of the admin series and put me into the IT type of series. There was a freeze, but I still continued to work and work and work and work. I didn't, let that hold me back. I just kept performing at the, best level that I could. When the freeze lifted, and I want to say it was probably 18 months, if not longer, it was a long time. When they finally got the freeze lifted and my action got pushed through, I'll never forget, I was in, I don't know if anyone remembers the Heck Company. It was a merchandise store, right? Like a Macy's. Right. And way back when, my pager, my beeper went off.
Pagers, oh my gosh.
Yeah. So I ran to the payphone where I had to put money in to call the civilian personnel person. And she was like, Kelly, we're happy to offer you a position. So, you know that you normally go one grade jump. And I had been working at the 6th level for so long, so I thought they'd bring me in at a 7. I went from a 6 to a 9.
Wow.
They were able to qualify me to a 9 level. I about cried. I was so moved, but it was because of all of my demonstrated experience and skills I had attained. We'll say all I was waiting. But so I was in contracts for about 10 years. Love that. One of the best work family environments that I can remember in my career. And because, if you work in that space, September 30th, that's a big day, right? That's when everyone's burning the midnight oil. You got to get all those contracts ordered. You got to get all the data in the database, the funding, all the money spent. So sometimes we were there very late, but we always had like a day after breakfast, and everyone got together and celebrated, the new year in our world. So then after a while there, I saw an opportunity for the special projects office. And I had applied. It was like a 1-year developmental assignment. I had applied, and my boss at the time said no, that he couldn't let me go. Right? He's like, no, I can't not have you here. So the guy who had the opportunity, he's like, well, I'll take care of that. He says, I'll just lateral you over into a permanent. So that's what he did, brought me right over. And that was probably another pivotal moment in my career, because it put me in like the director's office doing special projects. So I got to do all kinds of things that were for the organization. And that's where my career really started to excel, like 12 to 13, 14, 15, and everything that came along with it. So that's the fast track of how I got from a GS1 to a GS15, and had all these opportunities that when I look back, I'm like, I was so fortunate. I got to lead so many different programs that are still in place today. Got to work with really great people. I got to attain a lot of skills. And now so we'll jump right to the early retirement. Everyone knows what was going on 2025-ish. And trust me, I was not planning to retire. My date, because, I started as a GS1. My date was I was going to retire when I was 62, December 31st, 2031, had it on the wall. I knew I had 38.8 years of service. I had service. I had good ratings. So I'm like, I've been through reorgs. I've been through rifts. I've been through furloughs. I've been through it all, right? I'm like, I will survive, right? Been through it. I will survive. So I woke up one day and literally I was like, maybe I should apply for the Vera visa. And it was like the last day to apply. And I was like, maybe you should just put your papers in, because you can always pull them. So I did. I put them in. And that was like May 31st-ish. And then mid-June, they told me that I'm approved. And the deal was you had to be off the books by June 30th. So imagine wrapping up a 38-year career in about 2 weeks.
Yeah.
Now, I'll say the only blessing there was I was one of the early adopters. I retired June 30th. So my paperwork was processed pretty smoothly. And really, I'm going to say by October 1st, my package had been adjudicated. So that was 3 months. So I know that is like record time, but I was one of the first out of the gate compared to I know some other people that went out in July and then more people in September and October. So yeah, so it's been quite a ride.
Wow, that is correct. And you're right, that was quick because for a lot of people, like I took the buyout too, and it was a long process, but and there's still some people who are, haven't been adjudicated yet. They're still working through that. So Kelly, I have a question. So after 38 years, you're transitioning now into a new chapter, right? And where you're leading national organizations and running Motivated by Kelly. What made you say, I'm not done serving yet? How did that come about for you?
It was just a natural evolution, I would say. I like you had mentioned, I've worked with senior executives like the majority of my career. Even when I was a GS2, I was supporting the SES in the Human Resource Office or civilian personnel at the time. So when you are right there directly supporting, you see the ins and the outs, you see the how-tos, you see everything in the life of a SES and what it takes to get there. You see, and that was, like I said, when a GS2. So by the time I was up at the GS15 level, helping to fill the positions that were in our organization, you just know what it takes to get there. You have a unique niche experience that not everyone has, knowing what the qualifications review board would be looking for, knowing what these ECQs are and how to transform your career accomplishments into something that is meaningful and shows your impact and is quantifiable. So I think it's a unique niche skill. So how that came about in November 2019, I actually took the training that I teach now. And fabulous instructor, Dr. Donna Gregory. She's awesome. She worked at OPM. She retired again, retired another time. But so then after that was 2019, then the pandemic hit and that kind of paralyzed a lot of things and so forth. But I wanted to hire her to do training at my organization. And she's like, no, Kelly, I would love to, because we stayed in touch and we've talked plenty of times. She says, but I really retired.
Yeah.
She says, I really did this time. And I'm like, okay. And she goes, why don't you do it? She says, you've been doing this for years. You know it. Just why don't you do it? So I'm like, really? So when someone like that is like, yeah, you could do it. So I'm like, okay. So that's how that aspect of Motivated by Kelly came about, was being able to take on this unique training opportunity that doesn't really exist out there. And some organizations have their own internal training, but some of them don't. So being able to help the aspiring leaders that want to attain the senior executive service rank, but just aren't quite sure, how to get from the GS to the SES. And there's a lot involved in that. It's not just submitting a 2-page resume. It's really taking a lot of time to look at your career accomplishments and align them with the ECQs, which are the executive core qualifications, because it's not just like, here you go, I qualify. This is when you are transitioning from proving you qualify to proving that you can lead, right? That you can lead at an executive level and you can lead a large organization and you can live, I'll say, eat, breathe, sleep, those core competencies that OPM expects our leaders to have. So that's part of the mindset. And then also, changing your mindset when you show up, because when you're leading a large organization now, you're at the top. So how you show up, how you walk into a room, how you respond to people, there's so many aspects to it that you have to do a mindset shift when you're switching from, like I said, that I'm qualified for the next level to being able to lead at the next level, at the executive level. And that's what that is all about.
Wow. Kelly, we're going to take a quick break. When we come back, one of the questions I just came and says, why you started your podcast and why you chose the name Motivated by Kelly.
You got it.
We're going to take a break. Ladies and gentlemen, for those watching, please have your questions, post them, and Kelly will answer them. We'll be right back.
It's the guts and it's the glory. 100 stripes, 100 stories. It's the Pledge of Allegiance on the 4th of July. It's them handwritten letters from home. It's them sleepless nights alone. It's his newborn baby he left with his wife. Mr. Red, White, and Blue, lay down, here's a line. Mr. Red, White, and Blue, for these stars and stripes. Hey, from the fields of Indiana to the swamps of Louisiana, to the golden coast of California, Uncle Sam's the only family he's got. His purple heartbeat won't stop, and his 18th birthday was the day he was born. Mr. Red, White, and Blue, lay down, here's a line. Mr. Red, White, and Blue, for these stars and stripes. Mr. Red, White, and Blue, stand on the front line. Mr. Red, White, and Blue, pay the ultimate price. Oh. He was the man of the house when he was born. His family is proud but torn. But if you knew him, you would understand. He was raised on how to be brave, just to see the flag still wave. And then he came home with only one hand. 'Cause Mr. Red, White, and Blue, lay down here to lie. Mr. Red, White, and Blue, for these stars and stripes. Mr. Red, White, and Blue, stand on these front lines. Mr. Red, White, and Blue, he'll pay the ultimate price. Mr. Red, White, and Blue, lay down his life. Mr. Red, White, and Blue, for these stars and stripes. March in line, march in line. Hey. Hey.
The station where our veterans' voices are heard. MBR Talk.
Hey, thanks for supporting our channel by watching and listening.
Find us on the web at nbradio.net.
Wow, that video always motivates me. I'm sorry, Kelly. That's the bomb.
It is. I'm like, oh my word, that is an awesome song.
I was about to say another word, but I forget. Podcast, but it's stupendous. But thank you. So ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to Motivated Mindset with Zoe Floyd. So we left off on the question, Kelly, why you started your podcast, and then why you chose the name Motivated by Kelly.
All right, so I'm going to flip those, and because the name came first, and the name came Motivated by Kelly because someone who worked for me at the time called me up and was like, hey, my daughter would like you to be the keynote speaker at this event. And I was not a speaker at the time. And I'm like, what? Why me? Right. And she said, because she has watched her mother after working under my leadership and how I motivate her and I excite her and just inspire her. And I was like, oh my goodness, that's it. That's, when people a word that they tie to me is motivated. So I started Motivated by Kelly, and it started with my planner, which we'll talk about a little bit later. But the podcast, like I said, is under my brand name, Motivated by Kelly, because that's what I feel like is natural to me. I see the potential, and you said like I see the potential in other people that they might not see, and I help them to recognize, or I'm like, encourage them, motivate them that you can do this, right? Why can't you do that? And I remember once someone asking, "What would you do if you knew you couldn't fail?" And I was like, "Why would I think I would fail?"
Right.
Why would I think I would fail? But so motivation is definitely something that is deeply in me. So an area that I was very passionate about was the administrative professionals, because I started as a GS1 clerk typist back when we had actual typewriters, and you actually had to pass a typing test to get a job in the federal government. But anyway, I digress. So I was very passionate about this community, and I really wanted to help them recognize the value that they bring to the organization. When you work in a research and development or science and technology organization like we did, I would say 75% were PhDs. So they're highly technical, educated scientists and engineers. And there's just two different populations. So you would always, and that was, I'll say, our moneymaker. Not that we made money, because obviously the federal government, but what we did, that was our business, was producing things for the Army. So helping them realize that, don't say, I'm just an admin. You are an admin. You're the one that makes all the business operations happen. You're the one that is pushing through the SF-50s to get someone hired. You're the one that's putting things on USA Jobs. You're the one that's allocating the funding in budget to pay that person's salary. You're the person that's doing the DTS, so your leader can go on travel to pitch a program that they want funding to, or whatever. So you are the oil that keeps this engine running. So I was very passionate about helping them recognize their value that they bring to the organization. And don't be under this, I'm just an admin. It's not you're just an admin. You are a freaking admin, and you do really awesome things. So I started out with the Unforgettable Admin podcast. That's the initial ones. And I have a funny story about how that came about. If you've heard of the Institute for Veterans and Military Families, IVMF, Syracuse University. So I took a class through them, and I did Project Opportunity. I did those at the same time, because I'm just crazy like that. That one culminated in Atlanta. So I did the weekend thing in Atlanta, and at the end of all the sessions, they have these different roundtables where you can sit down and talk to one of the speakers and kind of pick their brain. I sat down with this one gentleman who was there, and he was really just waiting for his wife, who was one of the keynote speakers at the other table. And, he's just sitting there. So I sat down, I started talking to him. We were just yapping. He's like, so tell me about your business. I told him about my business. And at the end of our conversation, he was like, well, whatever you do, you want to make sure that you have branding that is t-shirt worthy, right? And as I spun around to say goodbye, I'm like, well, it's great meeting you, Michael Peterson. Do you know that he's a country singer? What is it? Drink,
yes,
Steal and Lie. Who knew, right? Michael
Peterson. That is amazing. Oh my goodness.
Yep. So I'm like, the Unforgettable Admin says goodbye, or something like that. And we both turned around and we're like, that's it. That is my t-shirt worthy slogan. So that's how the podcast originally came about, focusing on that population. And then I pivoted and started interviewing some of the veterans that have been through Project Opportunity, just because I wanted people to see and hear about how they have so many, whether you're a veteran or a military spouse, or you are a federal employee transitioning, you have so many transferable skills, and just being able to take those and I use the word reinvent, but reinvent doesn't mean as something different or something new. It's taking all the skills and the training and the knowledge and the expertise that you have and using it in a different way. And that is pretty much what I've done since I retired is,
Yeah.
like you said, I'm leading some national organizations. I have my podcast. I'm an instructor. So I repurpose everything that I've gotten in 38 years, and I just spread it out all over these different organizations.
That is stupendous. We have a quick question, because today's topic is reinvention is a life skill. And the question that we got is, what did you learn about yourself during a season of reinvention?
Learn about myself. Well, I would say probably the biggest season of reinvention. I have two major ones. One was divorce many years ago. That is a very powerful identity switch.
Yes.
And then when I retired, right? Because my whole life, from I was 17 years old until I think I was 55, 56-ish, because I wasn't, so around that age. And that's all I knew. I've only worked for the federal government, and I loved it. And even though I've done so many different things, it's what I knew. So it was kind of like, well, who am I going to be now that I don't go there every day?
Right,
so
right.
The whole reinvention was recognizing, what did I still have to offer, right? What excites me? What would I do every day if I didn't get paid for it? I'm sure you've heard that phrase.
Yes, ma'am.
And that was probably, those were probably the biggest reinvention seasons in my life. I've had pivoting and reinvention is, when you get married, you get divorced, you have children, empty nesters, retirement.
Yes. Oh.
And or health issues, so when major things happen in your life, those are pivots, because you have to take a different mindset.
Yeah, no, but when the first time was when I got out the military. I was lost like last year's Easter eggs. It was so freaking terrifying here, because I didn't know what my skill set really were. I was so used to doing something, working with professionals. I said, am I good enough to get out there and be with civilians? It was just like, wow. And I remember real quick, Kelly, the first time they called me for a GS job, I knew nothing about negotiating. I knew nothing about, because they don't teach you none of that stuff, right? And I just took it and I said, where's it located at? But you're absolutely correct. I said, it could have been in Wisconsin, and I'm in Maryland. That's okay. But those are the skill set. You're absolutely correct on that. It is doing that pivoting, which brings me to a question we got from another user. Kelly said, what do you want people to understand about pivoting with intention, not panic?
That is a good question. I would say that it's a natural thing that happens, right? Embrace it for what it is. And there's things in life you can control, and there's things you can't control. Don't let the things you can't control you. Right? Just let them go. Just be intentional about what things make you happy, what things bring you joy, and finding the opportunities to be able to pursue that, whatever it might be. Both of us are, recent exiters, I guess. Right. And I've just been fortunate that I just keep finding opportunities that bring me joy. And I invested a lot of my hours unpaid because I'm volunteering, right? I'm supporting the Council for Military Spouse Clubs. I'm part of the APG Community Spouse Clubs. I'm part of Project Opportunity. I'm part of Oath and Oak. All these things that I do, it's because it brings me joy, because I get to use the skills that I have to help other people see what's possible. And that's probably so exciting when someone, like in Project Opportunity, which is for veterans and military spouses to start a business, when they come with a business idea and they see like this much of it. But after working with them through that 10 weeks, it's like they can see the bigger vision. They can see the art of what is actually possible, and helping them pull that idea to fruition.
And I can relate. Ladies and gentlemen, I had taken Project Opportunity, and Kelly is it was just the tip of the iceberg. What I thought was a business, and when you sit and you go through them training, I'm like, wow, who knew how much it went into it? And because of that, it helped me tremendously, and it still does, and I'm like you, I just volunteer, and that's something we have, is the selfless service. there's a gap, we fill it without even thinking about it. And it's something that I'm still working through. But I love doing it. I love doing what I do. So I totally concur with what you just said. We have another question here, and it says, how do you stay grounded when your goals stretch you beyond your comfort zone?
Oh, that's another good question. I'm going to say that comfort zone. I don't know if I know a comfort zone because, like I said earlier, I'm like, why would I think I would fail, right? So,
Yes.
But another phrase I have to remember, because I think I can do anything, right? But I have to remember, just because I can doesn't mean I should. And a book that I read called Essentialism by Greg McKeown, life changing for me, because I like to do everything. If I'm like, oh, project management, I can do that. Lean Six Sigma, I can do that. I can help organize this leadership summit. I can perform all miracles. I can, right? I can.
Yes.
I have the skills, but should I? And it comes with the balance of what are the things that are going to, I'll say, move the needle forward for the goals that I want to achieve. And sometimes you have to say, I would love to do that. I really would, but I can't right now. Could you call me in 3 months when my schedule opens up a little bit? So sometimes you do have to say no to stay in a manageable zone.
You absolutely could. I'm just thinking when the saying no, it is so hard. I have a sign in my office that says, become what is necessary. And I've lived my whole life like that. You and I have been in positions where we may not have all the information, but it's like, wait, you need me? Hey, become what is necessary, what you need me to do. So you are absolutely correct. It just had me thinking what you said, and learning to say no. It's hard. Sometimes.
And it's not always no. It's sometimes it's not right now. And that was something that really helped me to recognize what are the essential things. If this is the goal that I'm trying to move forward, I need to make sure that I am intentional about focusing on getting that goal. And some things are not right now. Like, I would love to be able to come and talk, but I can't right now. Can I do it next quarter or the next opportunity that comes up? So sometimes it's no, because it's just not a fit. And sometimes it's just a not right now. But being intentional about focusing on those essential things that you want to achieve.
Yeah. We have another question, but what I want to do is we're going to go into the slide, what services you have to offer and so on. And then we got a few other questions that you can address, but I really want to get to this. Here we go, ma'am. And it's all you, Kelly.
All right. So thank you so much. So this is my website. And you can see a couple things on here, like order your 2027 planner. And I think I talked about this, but if not, but I have my planner. And how that came about was from having one I loved that they discontinued, right? And it was the book that made me the most productive I could be. And I was like, you know what? I spent hundreds of dollars trying to get one that worked as well as the other one. So I said, I'm just going to create my own. So it's that positive, motivated mindset, right? I'm just going to create my own. So anyway, so that's where that came about. So if you want to go to the next slide. So this is where it talks about my services, and I am a certified coach. I conduct training and I do public speaking now that I am a little bit more further in my speaking Career. And I went to the National Speakers Academy, National Speakers Association Pro Speakers Academy. Fabulous thing to do. Really enjoyed that. And so the training is unique. That's the ECQ and the structured interview preparation. Like I said before, it's not just a matter of putting something on a resume and you submitting your resume. You need to be able to present yourself in these structured interviews, and you need to be able to tell these stories that articulate you understand what demonstrating those executive core qualifications are. And this also applies to people who are applying for like GS 14 and 15 positions. You want to be able to not only qualify yourself, but show the impact of what you've had. What are the results? It's great that you can do all these things, but what's the result? What came out of your expertise? And then coaching, that is something that I had the fortune of being able to complete before I retired, and that was through the DoD coaching program. So I do a lot of career coaching and business coaching and life coaching, if you will. So those are the three primary services that I offer to individuals and organizations. So a lot of organizations that will hire me for the training are organizations that want to train their future executives, people who are in the GS 14s and 15s, that they want to start doing some succession planning. So they want to make sure that at that level, 14, 15, some 13s, but primarily 14s and 15s, that you're starting to make sure that you have the criteria that's needed to do those ECQs in the CCAR format and be able to tell those stories about how you led this project and you improved efficiency, or you avoided, I always use $50 million. That's my magical number. It's not real. Cost avoidance, right?
Yeah.
In every training, my examples are $50 million. But anyway, yeah. And then, so here's the project opportunity. That's another thing that I proudly do for veterans and military spouses. And the veterans class up here in Harford County. This is a program available all across the state of Maryland. And if you went to project-opportunity.com, you can click on the site about getting either in the next class or getting notified when the next class opens. But we always do the veterans in the fall and the military spouses in the spring. And it's just a really great opportunity that I just enjoy being able to help people bring their business ideas to fruition. And it's free. That's the other thing. It's free.
Can't beat that. Free is good.
Free. That's right. That's right. That's right.
Love it.
Yeah. And then my Motivated by Kelly podcast, like I said, I do it in seasons or themes or special series. And I talked about the admin series, the veteran series. Right now I'm working on some different personality assessment series. So I'm bringing on experts that can talk about the assessments like VIEW, which is a problem solving one. That was my first one out of the gate. Myers-Briggs, Gallup Strength, Sendelaney, SDI, which is the one for conflict resolution. And another one, resilience. Resilience is a new one. I just met a gentleman, a resilience assessment that I'm going to have him on. Dean Becker is his name. So yeah, so just that's, I do it in series, but ultimately I wanted to do the podcast. It's called What Motivates Me, and it's a book, and it used to be a program, but there's 23 motivators. 23 motivators that people naturally respond to. Like some people are motivated by money, some people are motivated by fame, public recognition, some people are motivated by giving back. My 3 motivators are, and you probably won't be surprised, learning, excelling, and developing others. Those are my top 3 motivators. So you can see with all the things I do, it all ties in. And when you see that, it just all makes sense. It's like, yep, I see it in everything.
I see it. Absolutely.
So I want to do a series on all of the individual motivators so people can understand what they are and then tap into those, because life is going to throw us curveballs. You can't help it. It just happens, right? And when it does, you don't want it to keep you down. You want to, what are your motivators? Tap into those motivators and use them to help get back up and figure out, all right, what am I going to do now? What am I going to do next? What's in the next season?
Absolutely. And I think this is more about the different podcasts you have. So you can tune in.
Yes.
And if they go to your website, Kelly, they can find this will lead them to all the different sites, right? The one that's swirling on the bottoms, ladies and gentlemen.
Yes, motivatedbykelly.com. Yes, you can find everything on my website, and you can connect with me. And here's where you're talking about the coaching, where I work with individuals that are, here's all the things. And because really federal employees do so much just naturally, right? And you do it because it's your mission. You do it because it's your job. And when it comes time to start identifying some of the really significant things that they've done, they didn't think twice about it when they were doing it like 3 or 4 years ago. They just did it. So
Yep.
when you're like, okay, well, tell me about a time when you, you know, implemented a transformative, innovative solution, and what was the impact? They're like, oh, I don't know. So working with them one-on-one, I can help them, pull things out. Well, tell me more about that. What did you
Yeah,
do? What was the
absolutely.
baseline numbers? And what was it when you were done? What was different or better after you did this project or this program or your leadership? How are you leading people? A lot of people will put on their resume, mentored 52 people. And again, that 50 number, I don't know why it's magical for me, 50 million. But but what was the result of mentoring those 52 people? Did
Yes.
they get promoted? Where are they now? How did your mentorship help them grow? That's the impactful stuff that you need to make sure that you can articulate.
Yes.
And then the resumes, with switching to a 2-page resume, whether you're going for a GS job or an SES job, it's still 2 pages. And you got to use that real estate wisely.
Yes.
So I work with people to help them, again, scale down, get their accomplishments into nice little bullets that use strong verbs that, directed, led, influenced, and show the impact, the breadth. Led a team of 30,000 people, or using those numbers that let the reader know, oh, they have this really broad experience, or they achieve these results. So helping people to shape up their resume and get it, make the best use of that 2 pages on the resume, because if you submit more than that, they'll reject it.
Absolutely.
Yeah. And then, of course, I love talking to people, as you can tell, just like you. We could talk all day long, and
Yes, ma'am.
close to the hour. But if someone wants to be a guest on the Motivated by Kelly podcast, you can reach out to me. Let me know. Either I'll fit you into a current series or season that I'm running, or we might even be able to come up with a whole new one that makes sense. So
absolutely. And I think, we talked about your products. Yes, ma'am.
That's right. That's
there
right. That's my planner. Yeah, my planner that I just love. I started it in 2023, and it has 8.5 by 11. That's important to me because I write big, right? Your personality tells a lot about you, and you can tell I'm not shy. So my signature is like this big. So everything I write is big. Those planners that are like this big, I can't do that. I could get one word on that page. So like I said, I created it to have all of the tools that I wanted and needed, to include some reflection, like what went well last week, right? What do I need to go really well into this week? What could have been different? How can I go into this week? So, and then what are the goals I achieved? And some affirmations, right?
Yes. Affirmations.
Affirmations.
Absolutely.
So build all those things into it to make it a planning tool and some time blocking tool and some motivation, because I have quotes in there, but specifically just being focused so you can be the most productive that you can be, and building in that reflection. So, and then there's my contact page. So if you want to contact me, you can contact me through the website at kelly@motivatedbykelly.com.
And Kelly, if they want resources or be on a podcast, this is the way to get you. If they, like spouse resources in case somebody needs. Okay. Cool beans.
Absolutely. Yeah. Because I think I mention another thing that's coming up is for the military spouses is through SpouseWorks. And it is project management professional certification that there's an information session on August 29th, I think it is. I have a flyer, but if they're interested in that, they can reach out to me as well.
And send me that flyer, and I can post it on my social media too and let people know.
Oh, you got it. You got it. Yep. Absolutely. And there's my LinkedIn. You can connect with me on LinkedIn, message me through there. And then this is my Facebook, Motivated by Kelly coaching and mentoring page that I have there, just offering other resources, motivational quotes, and different training opportunities that come up. Because like I said, my motivators, learning, excelling, and developing others, I just can't help myself. When I see an opportunity, I have to invite others and say, hey, you should consider this.
Yes.
So sometimes they're like, I'm not you, Kelly Foster. But I'm like, but you can do it. You could totally do it. I'll be there with you. I swear I won't let you fall.
Oh, I know. We're going to take one more question because I want to give you your last anything you want to put up. But the question is, and this is a little bit long. It says, it seems that throughout your career, you've had people that served as sponsors. Do you currently have any mentors or coaches to support your growth? If so, how have those relationships helped you advance personally or professionally?
Yes, absolutely. So I have mentors. I've had many, and I've had several in the past. And I would say the one who was the most impactful, her name is Dr. Lenora Gant. She is a retired senior executive service member, and now she devotes a lot of her time at Howard University. But I'll never forget her standing in front of me at a conference. She was giving a presentation about joining the senior executive service, and just the key points that I just remember her fingers like on the table right there in front of me, right? Right. And the insightful information just made me look at the world a little bit differently.
Wow.
Made me keep in mind how every interaction is an interview, right?
Gotcha.
Every time you meet someone, consider it an interview, because they're going to remember you. So you always want to make it be a good, professional, friendly interaction. And because you never know, especially in today's world where everything is connected, you never know when you're going to connect with them again. So yes, mentors are fantastic. And through the National Association for Future Federal Executives, that is a resource for federal employees or equivalents where you can join the organization and get mentorship, whether you're a GS 11, 12, 13, 14, 15.
Awesome.
And even if you're someone who left, but you are trying to come back. So if you left at like a 13, that's considered equivalent, and you could come back and get some mentorship. So you could just go to that. It's NAFFEE.org, and you can sign up to be a member and join the mentoring program that is there.
We have about 1 minute left. What do you want somebody who's listening right now to take away? What are they going to take away from listening today?
So I would hope that the takeaway would be, I'll say, positive mindset, right? Motivated, positive mindset. You control your mind. You control your thoughts. You control how you react. And like I said earlier, don't worry about the things you can't control. And for example, and I'm going to get really vulnerable and share something quickly here that I wasn't comfortable sharing until I got to the other side. And I don't know if you can see my shirt.
Snip it, stitch it, and ditch it.
Snipped it, stitched it, ditched it. And what that is earlier in the year, had some pains in my side, went to the emergency room, the quick addition. It ended up there was cancer in my kidney.
Wow.
Biggest surprise. I was like, what? Oof. No way. But I was like, you know what? I'm not going to let this. I can't control it. It's there. There's nothing I can do about it. Right? I can't go back in time and change whatever made it happen. So all I can do is move forward. So I refuse to let it to bring me down. I continue to show up and do all my things and just be motivated, be positive, have a mindset. And that was like, at the time, it was snip it, stitch it, ditch it. And now that they've already, July 28th, they took out my kidney. All the cancer is gone. So now I'm like, snipped it. Yes, amen. Snipped it, stitched it, ditched it, and I wear it proudly. And orange is the color for kidney cancer. I didn't know that until this. But it's that mindset and just staying motivated, and don't let the things you can't control consume you. Just put them aside, right? And if you have to, write it down, put it in a box, and forget about it. Focus on the things you can control, and your mindset is what you can control. So that would be the thing that I would say is
Kelly,
stay motivated.
Kelly, thank you for being here today. We appreciate it. And make sure to tune in to a website and everything. And before I let go, I just want to say our next guest next Saturday is going to be, Miss Catalina Resprato. She's being a lawyer, allow her to understand the system and becoming a money mindset. And I'll put more information out on my Motivated Monday. But I want to say thank you to Kelly Gracia for being here. Any information, ladies and gentlemen, thank you for being here. I appreciate you all, and have a blessed one. And Kelly, we'll be in touch, ma'am.
You got it. You got it. I look forward to it. Hooah!
Yes, hooah! You said it. Hooah! Yes. Hooah! I'll be saying just goodbye. Thank you.
Hi, I'm Beaker with Military Broadcast Radio TV. We're your virtual MWR. bringing veterans radio, podcasts, gaming, animation, 3D printing, and a community that never leaves you behind. Download our Roku or mobile app today.
Wisdom to share if you listen this week, so pull up a chair and stay for a spell. We're heading down a trail where good stories dwell.